Twickenham, but I would think that the game is such today that these two teams want to keep the ball in hand and the good in hand. So let's not play too much on that, and I hope that it doesn't come down to that sort of influence.
Hugh Vivian, emotional day for the captain. He'll be watched by one of 6 elder brothers in the stand today. His sister can't be here because he's in Australia, and Hugh Vivian leads out Newcastle. Pete Anglesey leads out Sale in the white, and here's the reception. Well, I challenge anyone to say with the utmost confidence who's going to win today. We seem to have 2 very similarly matched teams, 2 very mobile and athletic packs who also do the ABCs right as well. Kill to feed backs who will be exploring every inch of this Twickenham pitch. And what a moment for Eric Ottervarka, carried by Epi Taioni, who isn't fit enough to play today, but Eric, the son of one of Newcastle's former players, Soa Ottervarka, who sadly died of a brain tumour last month, and Eric, the Newcastle mascot for his club's big day. Before the kickoff, we will have a moment's silence in memory of John Tallant, a former RFU president who died yesterday. Well, in the continued absence of Johnny Wilkinson and Mark Andrews, there's just one significant change to the Newcastle team that earned their ticket to Twickenham. The foraging skills of James Grindle have preferred to hold Charlton's at scrum half. At centre, Jamie Noon will be one of plenty keen to make his point ahead of England's summer tours. Likewise, the skipper, Hugh Vivian, he's heading for Saracens at the end of the season. Sale's sole survivor from the cup final starting 7 years ago is Jos Baxendale. But only has he still got the number 13 shirt from 1997. He was wearing it at training this week. Charlie Hodgson, as we've been hearing, is fit and back at 10, acting as a conduit between sharp backs and rugged forwards. And they'll be led by the skipper, Pete Anglesey. One of the game's great characters, was never going to let a groaning knee keep him away today. Our referee providing the vocal accompaniment today, Tony Spreadbury, in his 3rd final and his 2nd in a row. Well, the northern accents have been ringing around Twickenham for the first time in 17 years. An all-northern final, 1977, 27 years ago. But is the silverware heading to the northeast or north by northwest? Charlie Hodgson has Sale in the white shirts underway. And Newcastle through Jamie Noon up to the 22. First test for Dave Walder. First look at what the breeze might be doing. And it just seemed to hold the ball up a little bit maybe, and for the first time Jason Robinson can get his skates on, but an awful pass from Robinson, and Michael Stevenson burns for the line. Held up just short. Robinson for a second really had the alarm bells ringing in his own defence.
Well, he's known for creating excitement, but I don't think he meant to do it in this way. Been an aberrant pass there. It's not near anybody, to be frank, and Sale cover well, but Stevenson probably couldn't believe his luck. Important line out here, defensive, the first one. Big battle, 3 Scottish second rows. How will they do today?
Andy Tittle defensively does well, and it's picked up by the giant Andrew Sheridan. Converted back row forward Sheridan. Will be seeing plenty of him today. And there are some big ball carriers in both teams, Brian, and they'll be doing their work over the next 80 minutes.
Yes, there are, but they need the front fives to settle down and get themselves into a position where they're supplying quality ball, because that's where it all starts from. Don't get it there, you won't be able to run.
England's latest stars, Chris Jones, looking to disrupt this Newcastle line-out. Can't. Grimes quickly to Grindle. And Newcastle very quickly into their stride. Shaw out to May. Both sides who love to run with the ball. They have got those mobile packs, but the backs have plenty of bite about them as well, and Newcastle are getting their hands on the ball a lot in these opening minutes. Grindle to Walder.
Hands out, run. Hands out, run.
It's Gareth Archer who goes to ground. Bright start from the Falcons though. This is Stevenson. Came off his wing to test Sale's midfield defence. Walder to the hooker Nick Makin. Walder on the bounce.
Backwards now. First one was back, then he knocked it on. Scruff.
And it all got a little scruffy at the end.
Yeah, it did. Nick Walsh, I can't believe that decision, but it's been given, and Newcastle having a prime attacking platform, inventive early on, putting together successive phases of play as well. They will want to come out of this good period with some form of score.
Wait, back row, stay.
Vivian feeds Grindle. And this is Jamie Noon.
Hands out. Crossing.
Well, he's given crossing there, man obstructing front of the pass or the ball carrier, but I thought for a second there that the Falcons off this had a 3-on-2. If you look out there later on, there's an extra man out there and they didn't take it.
Sale from the penalty,
Hands out.
not finding touch.
There.
It means that Newcastle can build again with Hugh Vivian.
Scrum, please.
And the ball was knocked on. Sale will have the scrum. There's Vivian. There's half dozen other brothers up here with us in the main stand.
Crouch and hold. Engage.
Slightly heavier Newcastle, but neither side particularly known for its scrummaging. I think both will be happy to have parity here.
Crouch and hold. Engage.
It's fair to say that Newcastle's scrum, though, is one of those underrated scrums. They've been well honed by the Australian Andrew Blades over the last year or so, and I think they fancy themselves in the scrum, Newcastle. Hodgson, he was under plenty of pressure. Big day for Charlie Hodgson, though, Brian.
Yeah, come back in, long period of injury. Halifax lad like Jim Allender. But Sale have been under pressure now consistently. They need to get out of here for at least for a period of respite more than anything else.
Go back 8.
So Nick Walsh just directing the forwards, wearing the number 9 shirt in the absence of Brian Redpath today, who's working for us.
5 seconds.
There is Walsh, one of those players who's leaving the club at the end of the season. He's moving to Bath. As Mike Stevenson is tied up on the 22, and the referee really could have given it both ways there. The decision is that the tackle player was held, but the tackle player wasn't letting go of the ball either.
That's just what I was going to say. Tackle player is saying must release the tackler. Well, he's on his feet. I don't know if he's holding them there. He's trying to get hold of the ball. I've seen those go the other way. But it doesn't matter, it's been given, and Newcastle, that kick has put them, 5 yards again from the Sale line. They really do have to convert one of these.
Sale, half a metre.
It has been total Falcons domination for 5 minutes. Can Nick Makin, with his newly bleached hair, he swears it's his natural look, make that possession pay? Taken in by Archer. Makin gathers. Sale's defence, though, had the initial nudge. And now Newcastle break off. That's the try line.
Away, tackler. Get away, you two. Get away.
Grindle, Walder, Meyerhoffler. It was meant for Stevenson, I think. It was picked up by Noon, who's dangerous. He's still going. This is Brits. Scores! First try to Newcastle, and they have dominated the first 6 minutes.
Well, they've caught him completely cold, haven't they? Sale, they haven't even got out of the blocks yet. The only real possession from that Jason Robinson run. Everything else has been Newcastle. They needed a score, and they've got the best possible one. They've got 5, maybe 7 here. That's good play. Straightens up, straightens the line. And although there are defenders there, but it's just too powerful. Look, there are 3 men there to stop him. Quick ball coming, 1, 2, 3. Actually, 2 of them getting each other's way. So in the end, you've only actually got Walsh trying to take him down. It's not enough.
This will be an interesting kick for Walder. With the breeze swirling, gave it plenty of welly. Had all the direction it needed as well. And that's a terrific start for Dave Walder, but an even better one for Warren Brits. He's played at the highest level, Brits. 31-year-old South African, and now enjoying an English Cup final and scoring in an English Cup final. And Sale will be just asking 1 or 2 questions about their defence around the fringes. But Newcastle deserve that lead.
Hands out, ruck time.
All the possession has belonged to the men from the northeast. Another difficult ball for Meyerhoffler. Shaw to Stevenson.
Well, making something out of what could have been a very sticky situation there. Almost caught Meyerhoffler, but had the patience, if not the audacity, really, to pull men in, create the overlap.
Neatly flicked off the top by Jones. It allows the backs to run onto it quickly, although this is a forward. The enormous Jason White. Sale will have the penalty. Newcastle were offside.
Still playing advantage.
They'll want the try though. Baxendale. Nothing's doing. So because John Dunbar was offside, Sale will have a penalty slap bang in front of the posts.
Well, how often do you see these sides go into the lead with tries and then they give away a penalty straight away, thereby, you know, nullifying at least half the points? Rob Andrew would have been pleased this time. Won't be pleased with that. Very simple chance for Charlie Hodgson.
Sale experiencing club rugby's big day out in a final. For just the 2nd time in their history, they were here 7 years ago in the rain against Leicester. Very different day that day. Possibly one of the world's most awful cup finals as well. It never got going. Leicester squeezed it. We expect much, much more today. And Hodgson, the Sale's first points of the final, and Hodgson's first points in this season's Powergen Cup. He's back from injury, he's back on the scoreboard, and with 10 minutes gone, Sale have 3 and Newcastle have 7.
Well, that'll settle him down a bit. James Malinder there. And we're made to Crossing Porter School, 3 years below me, although I never got to bully him because he was far too big.
You never bullied people who were bigger than you, Brian.
Oh, and that's a shocker as well. Compounding the penalty. That really shouldn't happen. Give Sale the opportunity. Their own ball, both sides, to attack here. Jason Robinson, I can see him on the right-hand side looming up here. Or they can just shove it in the corner, probe it down there. But Newcastle have brought 3 men across to mark 2 because of Jason Robinson here.
As the kick went into touch on the full, Sale have the scrum on halfway. And Robinson, having come on this right-hand side, acted as the decoy because they immediately went left. And Steve Hanley was buried on the touchline. Walsh. There again. Hodgson. And the penalty for hanging on to the ball in the tackle.
Yeah, just got himself isolated there. Support not there quick enough.
Ball has to release.
That's the result.
It's Andy Titterell, the hooker.
Can't help thinking that because Jason Robinson dragged an extra defender there, they had a 4-on-2, did Sale going left there. They didn't make much of it.
You get out. Stay there. Stay.
It's well taken in by Gareth Archer. Concerned about a niggly back in the lead up to this match, but Archer's playing, the man from South Shields, and his take at the line out has led to this latest Newcastle assault. Grindle, neat ball inside to Ian Peel, the prop. And they're driving through the centre. Stuart Grimes. You can't say Tony Spreadbury isn't being consistent. Second time in 60 seconds, the tackler has to release the ball. If you don't, you will be penalised.
Guys are isolated, lads, okay? 2 penalties, 1 each side.
Well, the rule is as soon as you go to ground here, you've got to release the ball. He's holding on there. There is support there, but the clearing is not effective. Got to get over that ball, knock the defenders out of the way as quickly as you can and create the platform.
From Titterell. Newcastle were aware of the option to the back of the line out and got round quickly to stem any Sale surge. Still got the ball though, and this is Titterell. He needs support, might go on his own. Oh, it was an important tackle from Shaw, but they're that close. The burst from Titterell. Can Sale capitalise? They continue to muscle and rumble towards the line. Hodgson. Cueto. He's been upended just short as well. Still the threat. Anglesey gets his head down, up to the line, and the try's there. And it's scored by Steve Hanley. A winger popping up in the role of a forward. It was Anglesey who had the thrust that almost took them to the line, and Steve Hanley who went over the line.
Well, yeah, he's a winger, but he's 6'4" and he's very powerful. Titterell, good break here. I thought for a second when he steps inside he was going to go all the way. He was just caught, and then the ball needs to come a lot quicker than that. Anglesey, an important role here. And you see him come over there, and they just can't stop him. 6'4", and what a turnaround!
Couldn't have been offside up there.
Look at that, bulldozes a prop out of the way as well.
So we had no ruck. That's when their guys came back. They looked offside to Joe Public, but it ain't. Okay. Understand that, everybody?
Another terrific kick from Hodgson. There really is a difficult wind swirling around, and 2 points have been added on top of Hanley's try.
Well, there are men outside there. Look, wide for a miss pass. It's Robinson holding his hand up in despair. It doesn't matter because eventually it went over. Good job as well after having that overlap. Hanley picking the ball up through the prop, thank you.
Has been some turnaround, hasn't it?
Stay back, Newcastle.
Quarter of an hour gone.
Wait.
Newcastle with the initial burst and the initial 7 points, but Sale have pulled it right back. They lead.
If you think about this though, what has happened, two very simple things. Offside in front of the post, then don't go 10, and that's the consequence. You're 10 points worse off.
This is Jamie Noon, who's been a star on the road to Twickenham thus far. One of those players looking to attract the attentions of Clive Woodward with the summer tour squads coming up. Mark Meyerhofer won't, because he's New Zealand. This is Volder.
Hands out, ruck! Wait. Go back. What?
Volder, Shaw, neat play. Grimes, who's discarded his scrum cap. Meyerhofer hasn't. And the ball was not forward. There was no advantage, so the knock-on ends in the Sale scrum.
Well, Archer wasn't expecting that ball, and I think Grindle wasn't expecting him to be there. Got a swinging arm in there, but doesn't matter, wasn't seen, and Newcastle imprecise, and I would expect them to be kicked right back into their own territory as a result of that.
The player down is the hooker. Been here before already this season. He had a run out for England against the New Zealand Barbarians just before Christmas. And with Dorian West announcing his international retirement this week, opportunities are beginning to arise in the white #2 shirt for their country, and Tittrell is one of those, Brian, who's having a knock on the door.
He is, although in terms of modern hookers, he's about the same size as I was, and that's in these days he's well, seen to be far too small, but he's a dynamic player, as we saw earlier on, and more importantly, he needs to be a good thrower, because that is the most important skill nowadays.
Come back. Time on.
Johnny Spreadbury indulging in a discussion with everybody.
Can we have it square, please? Not 20 degrees, please. Thank you. Yeah, I'll watch it, don't worry. Frozen hold. No. Goodbye.
We only have to put up with it for 80 minutes, though. Think of poor Mrs. Spreadbury.
Well, at times he sounds like a West Country Les Dennis when he gets on a roll.
Meantime, it was a terrific pick-up from Vivian. And this is Brits again. They've got some big old units running in that pack, Newcastle. Walder isn't one of them, and he needs to get rid of the ball quickly, and does well to find Grindle. Big decision to play Grindle ahead of Hall Charlton at #9. There is a sound reason, which I will give to you in a moment. Walder. This is Makin. All of a sudden, we've gone back to the first 5 minutes of the match, where Newcastle were in control. Meyerhofer shrugs off the tackle. Jason White evaded. Here's Walder again, but they're up very quickly, and that was Chris Jones on Walder. And it was actually not Chris Jones who was offside, but Jason White, who made the earlier thrust. But it's interesting, the reason for Newcastle going for James Grindle at scrum half instead of Hall Charlton. Rob Andrew is aware that Sale are adept at slowing the ball down in those situations, in the tackle situation, and he just thinks that James Grindle will dig it away quicker than Hall Charlton might have done. He's a little lower to the ground, and that's the reason for the big decision at scrum half, apparently.
Well, in terms of the balance of the game, Newcastle really have been the side that have played the more constructive rugby with greater fluidity. It is quite a surprise, therefore, that they're behind, possibly level with this kick, but they've played more of the rugby, but Sale must be happy that they're, well, in the lead, or at least level with not really much of the game so far.
Oh dear. Well, at the highest level, those kicks need to be kicked, particularly at cup finals. And there's the man who's been picked for those skills of digging balls out where some people wouldn't necessarily put their feet.
Oh dear, oh dear.
And for the second time, it's catching. Ball goes out on the full, and Newcastle will take the option of coming back, and it will be there put in at the scrum.
Well, there's no excuse for that, because he doesn't even have to go 10 from there. There's a huge margin for error, and this creates, you know, again a great platform for Newcastle. Both sides are open.
Right, and hold. Engage. Wait, inside. Away.
That was good
Go on.
harrying
Go, hands
from
out!
Nick Walsh, who was making sure that Newcastle couldn't get quick ball, but Grindle now does come away with it. This is Shaw, takes on Hanley. It's an uneven physical battle, but Shaw did well to smuggle the ball back on the black side.
Away, tackler! Wait.
The props in tandem. Walder. Sale's defence is in his face immediately, and that's the reason that he had to hang on to the ball there. Here's Tom May.
Hands out, back
Sale's
foot,
midfield
wait!
defence is really being given a rigorous examination along their own 22. Neat play from Meyerhoffler. This is Shaw again, who remained on that far right-hand station. And now can they get the ball? They can. Grindle to Walder. May. Vivian, the big basher. Meyerhoffler.
Away.
Swift hands. Oof.
No.
That'll be a penalty. Penalty against Alex Sanderson. Clearly thought he was within his rights to have a go at that, but Mr. Spreadbury thought otherwise, and here was the break.
Very nearly got Q Vivian. This is good hands, isn't it? And that is a great wrap tackle there by Chris Jones, even temporarily, because he holds the ball as he goes down. Doesn't allow the release. Maybe illegal, as indeed James Grindle thinks, but that doesn't matter.
Captain.
Well,
Captain.
unless he was certainly out because he had it in his hands. Whether or not he thought he approached it from an offside position is a different matter. But that tackle by Chris Jones saved a 7-pointer there.
All right, okay, yeah. It's all right so far, isn't it? It's okay so far, it's good. Yeah.
They'll be passing on the vibes.
Square and steady.
It's all square now. Didn't miss that one. And again, Newcastle have got points from their possession, and it is all square with 23 minutes gone at a sunny Twickenham.
But again, Nick, I have to point out that the ultimate consequence for the wayward 22 dropout was 3 points. Simple mistake again.
How does Hodgson go with this one? Decides to go long. Gathered in by May. Walder.
Hold it, hold it!
There was nothing wrong with the kick, but it was neatly taken quickly by Steve Hanley, and this is Robinson.
Away.
Not that you needed telling. Here's Hodgson. Loose pass back. The ball was knocked forward off a Sale hand, and Newcastle will have the scrum.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying earlier on. All the rugby really is being played by Newcastle. Look at that. 24-7 ball winning an opponent's 22. Sale have stuttered, as indeed that just showed, but they find themselves on the scoreboard even.
No. Hang on.
Newcastle enjoying their third cup final in 5 years. Only Northampton can match that record recently. Falcons lost the Wasps in 1999. They beat Harlequins in 2001 in the 4th minute of injury time. If we have drama to match that today, we'll be more than satisfied. We thought it would be close, and it is close. 15 minutes to half-time. It's 10-all, a try each. And here goes Tom May. Shaw, who's popping up from full-back, and Stevenson. Let's go on the Sale 10 metre. Vivian. Grindle had to stretch. Grimes to Noon. Over the 10 metre line. The ball was knocked forward, so Sale will have possession if nothing comes of this.
Advantage over.
Big gap there.
Interesting for Hanley. Oh, and the bounce went Newcastle's way.
Holding.
Into touch, but it was, well, just terrific vision from Nick Walsh to see the gap and to see Hanley available to make the most of it.
Yes, it was a home alone there. Bounces the ball very cruel in terms of Sale, but look at this. When he finally chips this, there is no one back here, no one at all. Well, there's no one within 15 yards of him, look.
Preferred to Richard Wigglesworth for his experience today, Nick Walsh. He played across the road for Quins for a few years. He's a man who knows about the big occasion, and he almost made it pay there.
He knows.
Newcastle have been penalised at the line out for pulling down.
Seen it, dealt with it,
he knows. Well, it was a bit blatant, so I agree with you.
There's Charlie Hodgson. Just his second start since a knee injury in January. He's sure the knee will hold up. He's less sure about his match fitness, and it's a relatively warmish day. It'll be interesting to see how Charlie Hodgson goes on. We've got the American Mike Herkus on the bench. Hodgson, though, has his eye on England's summer tours. Walsh with another kick. Shaw shuffles it back for Grindle. This is Walder. May has Jamie Noon outside him. Well played, Tom May. Low centre of gravity. He's a chunky cruiser, Tom May. But sadly for him, he was turned the wrong way. Couldn't get the ball back on the Newcastle side. And Sale will have possession.
Yeah, he danced in well there, but getting wrapped the wrong way. And the balance of the play here, that stat shows you've got a lot of play in Newcastle. But if you think about it, every time they've got in the 22, there've been annoying little things like giving a penalty away, pulling down the line out, not winning the roll line out ball, knocking the ball on, and that's what's kept this score even.
Just a little over-anxiety there. Rob Andrews saying in the build-up to the match that the hardest part of his job this week has been keeping them quiet. And the defence has got to be busy here, though. Newcastle were aching to play the game on Monday. They've been like coiled springs. Hodgson. There's a little tester. Cueto against Stevenson's a decent battle as well. It looks as if the Newcastle man has just done enough. No. Scooping the ball back when he was on the floor, and that's the reason for the penalty.
Well, Charlie Hodgson looked across there and saw that it might be a mismatch with the size of Cueto. But, you know, that's a tactic. That's usually one you'd use for a scoring opportunity, because if that goes wrong, Cueto's in the air, Stevenson, you know, has a clear run. So Sale, in a sense, quite fortunate to. Well, he's not going for the posts. Going to put some pressure on.
It's an interesting tactic. They've probably not had enough time in Newcastle's 22, and they're looking to change that. From what time they have had, they've got to try. Tittrell will try and turn the screw. Goes long, looking for Sanderson, and driven forward by Chris Jones. Very useful position, this. Hodgson still going, held up by Walder and May combined. Now Walsh had the ball.
Exactly the same at that end as this end. Cross it.
And it was Ian Fullerton. I'm not sure whether he was coming in on the dummy or whether he was expecting the ball, but either way, Fullerton didn't get it, and Newcastle have the penalty.
Well, he's been consistent, but to be honest, I didn't think either of them were necessarily penalties. The people that he did engage were people who were not actually going to tackle where the ball was arriving. It simply went behind him. Look, he comes on a run.
Time off. Time off.
And okay, but he hasn't, you know, he hasn't really stopped the player. The two defenders have still attacked the player who was receiving the ball, so pretty inconsequential, really. I think they've been hard done to there.
Now half an hour gone, and Newcastle making their first substitution. Ian Peel, the prop, has been replaced by Marius Herter. Now I would have a small wager with you, Brian, that at some point between now and full time, either Marius Herter or Micky Ward, the other prop, will develop an injury, and we may well see Ian Peel on again. It's becoming a little bit of a tactic, this, isn't it?
That's incredibly cynical, but I agree.
Leave it. One man sack.
Leave
it, Sel. Leave it, Sel. Get away. Leave it, Sel.
Grindle charged down. Walder needed to be alert, and he was, and he did well. But this isn't necessarily where you want to see the ball. This spells danger. Off he goes. Cueto, Robinson still there in support.
Hands out.
And they've gone 70 metres. This is Sheridan.
Roll away, tackle there.
Absolute mammoth.
Not moving quick enough.
Walsh goes. Sale really are banging away, but will come all the way back for a penalty. They were playing the advantage. Sale will have the penalty, and it all comes from the twinkling boots of that man.
Well, you would think, wouldn't you, facing his own goal line with about 75 metres to go, you're fairly safe. There are three defenders here, and he skips away from that. Cueto, I thought, might give him back, but he didn't. And here, Newcastle, crucially, 2 seconds of white boots, of dancing white boots, and there is an expectation whenever he gets this ball. Sure, again, playing from fragments, really, Sale, but if Charlie Hodgson puts this over, quite against, really, the balance of play and well, the constructive aspects of the game, but every time Sale have got the ball, they've made very good use of it.
Well, they've taken the points when they've been there to be taken, which is what Newcastle haven't done. And with 7 minutes to go to half-time, this to put Sale back in the lead. They're ahead again, and Charlie Hodgson is in the groove. Sale lead by 13 points to 10. And Jim Mallender, the director of rugby these days, but one of their survivors from 1997, will be thrilled that they have taken their opportunities. There haven't been too many, but goodness me, Newcastle have been made to pay when they've come along.
The worrying thing from Newcastle's point of view is what if Sale do have a 15-minute period where they get a lot of ball and some continuity, they may well stack points up.
Important gather from Sanderson as the ball bounced around dangerously inside Sale's 22, and Hodgson affects the clearance, but it was a sliced one.
And again, just backs up what I've been saying. Newcastle seem to be playing all the rugby, but they're behind. Part of that is to do with the fact that Sale have taken every opportunity. Alex Sanderson's had a good game so far, but also lack of precision in vital areas, important, yet relatively small mistakes, contriving to keep Newcastle away from the points which their possession would usually dictate.
Archer gathers, Grindle, Walder into the sunshine, Noon, this is short, has Stevenson outside. May uses his bulk to roll the defence over the ball. Gathered by the huge pawed Vivian. Meyerhofer wins a metre.
Leave it! Don't counteract!
There's John Dunbar tangling with Chris Jones. The ball was knocked forward.
Again, phase play here, but just knocked down and out by Chris Jones. That's not good contact skills. Got to keep hold of the ball. Well, the errors made, only 7-6. It is quite low, but there have been crucial ones in terms of Newcastle's where they've occurred and when they've occurred.
Stay back foot. Waiting.
Walsh to Hodgson. Back inside to
Roll away, tackler.
Chris Mayer, deputising for the injured Graham Bond. You remember
Hands off. Hands
he
off.
damaged his shoulder in the semi-final, and Bond watching this back home in Brisbane this afternoon. For the early hours of the morning, if he is watching.
Holding.
Shaw makes sure that he stayed within the 22 and he could find touch on the full. Instead, he found the last man he would have wanted to kick the ball to. Robinson, though, on this occasion, jackknifed just beyond his own 10-metre line.
Newcastle.
It's White. It's interesting in defensive situations to see Shaw staying up and actually Dave Walder dropping to fullback. Ball doesn't quite reach him, and Stevenson beats Chris Mayer to the ball.
Holding on to the ball there. I thought that was going to be the case, because Cueto here eventually, you watch, he gets turned on his back. He's a big man, but they managed to do well here. When he goes down, there, look, he's in danger and he knows he's going to lose it. He keeps hold of it and he's lost it anyway, and he's given Newcastle a penalty. Well, we're coming towards half-time, and I would think that Newcastle will want to register some form of score, at least to get parity before they go in, because they will think it's a travesty if they're going down.
They certainly have plenty of recent Twickenham experience. They can't really blame the nerves for the missed opportunities. Nick Macon needs to fire this directly into a hand belonging to a teammate. He does that with Grimes. He's in his 30s now, Grimes, but he's still a hugely capable competitor at altitude. As is Gareth Archer, but on that occasion couldn't gather the ball in. And again, Brian, it's what we've been saying all half.
Well, see what I mean? Yeah, only their 8th error, but look where it is. Look what time of the game it is. Hugely significant. Doesn't matter how many you make if they're inconsequential, but those right in the middle. Same phase ball. Oh, it's got worse now. Call for pulling instead of pushing straight.
4 rounds, no problem, number 8, no problem. The first one is not a problem. Gibbs. I wouldn't dream again. It's a crap fight, your fight. There you go. 6, please. 6.
Draw goes long. He finds Fullerton. 3 of the big lock forwards are Scottish today. Fullerton, Grimes and White. And it's the Sale Scots who got the nudge there. This is Walsh. Driven forward by Anglesey, but again, the ball going forward. Walder, Mayer Hoffler to Noon, Shaw popping up, May's outside. He's been working hard to involve himself whenever he can in attack. The fullback, Joe Shaw. And this is Stevenson, who's a wriggly individual, and here is Grimes. He lolloped in for a couple of tries in the quarter-final and the semi-final. Not just yet today, but Walder's still thrusting. 7 or 8 metres short, picked up by Herter.
Roll away, tackle there, get away, tackle there.
the bulk of possession, but they're behind on the scoreboard. We're into the final 60 seconds, and they won't score from this one. Sum up the first 40 minutes, Brian.
Well, I think it's encapsulated there, really. Newcastle, lots of ball, lots of possession, Sale slowing it down just enough, and then Newcastle making small but crucial errors. Sale, on the other hand, little possession, but they have done everything they can, and I don't think Rob Andrew will be very pleased at all.
Thank you.
They are getting plenty of the ball, though. That will be the plus point for Rob Andrew at half-time down below us, but he'll be emphasising exactly what you've been saying, Brian, that ball without poise and precision isn't much ball.
Well, it's preferable than not having the ball in a sense, but like I said earlier on, you know, these games rarely go 80 odd minutes where one side gets possession continually, and Sale have shown that with the possession they've had, they've used it very well. Johnny Wilkinson doing the water job, but would he have made a difference? I think he probably would. Good shove.
It's a decent shove from Newcastle, isn't it? Is it enough to burgle back the ball? Not quite. Sale, though, needed to be alive in the back row to the danger. And next time the ball goes dead, the referee should blow his whistle. And Walsh just finds touch. Tony Spreadbury does signal the end of the game. And despite the bulk of territory and the bulk of possession, it's Newcastle who trail at half-time. The Northwesterners lead the Northeasterners by 13 points to 10.
Would Rob Andrew have read the riot act in that Newcastle dressing room?
I think he'd have been quite calm, Steve. He can't fluster them because they start panicking. I think he would just explain to them, just keep your composure in the 22 and keep the pressure on, keep it close, and they will break.
Yeah, that's it. You know, they've done everything right, except, you know, in the last quarter, and that's what they've got to try and improve. And Sale will play better in the second half, so it's all for Newcastle to do.
And it's 13-10 Sale as we get into the second half with once again Brian Moore and Nick.
Hang on, I can't hear anybody.
No changes at half-time. Just a minor one, though. Tony Spreadbury can't hear his little radio in his ear. He needs to put another couple of batteries in it, perhaps. And he can't do anything before we tell him to, so he needs to make sure that it's working properly. Don't bother Spreaders. One of the most experienced referees we have in this country was at the World Cup. He was probably the only person disappointed that England got to the World Cup final, because there was fairly short odds on him refereeing the World Cup final if England hadn't have got that far.
Jeff Warren, are you there? That's marvellous. Yeah, I can now. I had ground control and nobody else. Right,
ground control to Major Tony.
That's lovely.
Well, I think we've got the batteries back in Spread, as you can see, can't you? He's off and running again.
Okay, Captain. Thank you. Okay, now stay behind.
Firm peep on the whistle. And Newcastle through Dave Walder. Kick off. And immediately taken in by the enormous Chris Jones.
Turnover ball.
But the ball's been turned over. Good Newcastle pressuring. And they will have the scrum, the first scrum of the second half. And here's why.
Well, you see all the dummy jumpers there. That's a well-worn tactic now to make the chasers run round them. But even so, that's good work from Newcastle to wrap that up. Keep it off the ground.
It was terrific play from Grimes and Dunbar in particular. They were the two who did the job. And this is Noon, who's discarded his scrum cap as well. One or two starting in the caps, and one or two have now got rid of them. Noon amongst them. Grindle to Archer. Play to Mayer Hoffler, who's kept his on.
That's your own player, nobody else's.
Walder, Stevenson.
Hands out.
How both wingers, both Stevenson and May, make regular forays in off the wings to get involved, to do the work. And this is Jamie Noon. Noon still goes, driving for the line. That close. Well, he's a roll of the ball away. Will come back for the scrum, but Jamie Noon has been impressing all season, and he's impressing again today.
Yes, very elusive. Just half a gap there. Exploited it to the full. Oh, it's a slip tackle. Baxendale comes back inside here, and I thought he was going to get there, but desperate defence. Hanley, probably because of the size of him, managed to drag him down there. Newcastle going for it. 8 Manning. Still holding at the moment, but front rows have got to go.
Walder then gives it to the backs. Mayer Hoffler to May. Noon was out to use the option, but Stevenson stretches for the line. They are pulling Sale's defensive fabric to the right and to the left, and they've got there! And it's Vivian! What a moment for Hugh Vivian. 8 years at the club, he leaves at the end of the season, and he would love to leave having lifted the cup.
Well, similar to the first half, they've been caught cold again of Sale. This is the man who comes in, and that's the pass that Jerry Guscott was talking about. Getting it out wide, it's stretched there. Well, there are 3 defenders there, 1, 2, 12. And he goes actually through and over the top of the ruck.
And his 6 brothers up in the stand will be going bananas somewhere. Walder to add the 2 extras. That is a magnificent kick. Judged the wind to perfection. He seemed to have pulled it too much to the left, but he knew exactly what the southwest London breeze was going to do. And this try has the conversion, but it was Stevenson's break initially, and Vivian, the skipper, was on hand and run straight through Mayer. We're underway again. John Dunbar drives Newcastle up to the 22, and Grindle completes the defensive job. Well, Rob Andrew was saying, I think only half-jokingly in the week leading up to the match, that his only prediction for the game was extra time.
Get over!
Well, how we chuckled at the time, Brian, but the odds are rapidly shortening on that.
Yes, they are, unless Sale can get some ball, and what would you see?
Chris Jones has been big in the line-out again, hasn't he? This is Mayer, having just seen Hugh Vivian creep between his legs for a try for Newcastle. He's keen to redress the balance. There's a turnover ball for Newcastle. The pack are working their black socks off at the moment, and Walder from his own 22 fires to Cueto. Cut in between May and Shaw. It was Shaw who affected the tackle. Walsh to Hodgson. Do you know who? And this is Steve Hanley. He's trying the first half, put Sale ahead, and they're going to have to come from behind again. 17-13. And this is Pete Anglesey. Signed a new contract for another couple of years, Anglesey. Terrific servant of the club. Hodgson will push through, but it's much too much for Chris Mayer. Robinson with the sun on his shoulders. And the superhuman spring in the stud. And Newcastle will be happy to have pulled him down after just 10 metres. This is Baxendale, survivor from 97. Cueto has Hanley outside. Cueto goes himself. Cueto scores a try, all of his own making, and this seesaw game has tipped in Sale's favour once again.
Well, yet again, I was just about to say Sale looked disjointed. I can't understand what they're doing from second and third base play. It doesn't matter at the moment, because that came from a loose Newcastle kick. Dummy, and he's gone. Newcastle not making touch and being made to pay for it. Joe Shaw there, completely wrong-footed. As a full-back, he's covering there. He's got to make a better attempt than that. Well, he's happy.
Well, he's headed the Premiership's try-scoring charts for the last couple of seasons, and there are more than one or two who think he deserves elevation to England's senior status, and moments like that won't harm his cause. And that's what faces Hodgson for the conversion. No problems for Charlie Hodgson. 2 points for him. Conversion for Sale. Cueto's try immediately responding Hugh Vivian's, and because of this, Brian, Sale are back ahead, 2017.
Well, you find there, look, inside covering player is a prop, he can't make it, you see. Trying to drift out, but can't make it. Again, came from a poor kick from Newcastle.
Here they go again. This is Sanderson. Over halfway. One of those players who'll be wearing a Saracen shirt next season. And there were too many Newcastle players piling over him. Newcastle, you'll have seen, have made that change at scrum half. There it is. Hall Charlton is on. Surprised he didn't start, but Rob Andrew hoping he could make a real impact off the bench, and he needs to now, because the Falcons trail, and I do believe Charlie Hodgson is sizing up a monster kick in the wind from just inside the Newcastle half.
Well, although the wind in this commentary position is definitely blowing against him, I think on the field he's blowing with him. Flags behind him seem to suggest that. He's 100% so far.
Well, he's had mixed fortunes at Twickenham, Charlie Hodgson. You may remember, bagged a record 43 points on his England debut here against Romania in 2001, but it was also here that he suffered that horrific knee injury against Italy in the Six Nations that has really punctured any progression. He's enjoying himself today, and this would be a big kick. No problem with the direction. Oh, he's got the distance as well. Dynamite in the boot. And Sale have a 6-point lead all of a sudden. 23-17. All of 50 metres.
Well, Hodgson has taken everything that's come his way, and it's important for Sale, also for England, because we need competition for Johnny Wilkinson's place. But the Sale back row have impressed me today, both in defence and the limited attacking opportunities they've had. Pete Angus has played well. Sanderson and Chris White, of course, with that very, very important tackle in the first half.
Well, I think he's a surefire pick for Clive Woodward's big England squad to tour down under to Australia and New Zealand. And I, for one, would be very surprised if the man behind his brother Mark, Johnny, would actually tour this summer. He's targeted various points since the shoulder injury during the season. He hasn't made any of them. At one point he targeted this match. He's now targeting the summer tour, but having read his column in the newspaper this morning, I think he's preparing us for the fact that he won't tour this summer, and there's absolutely no reason for him to either, really. Against Australia and New Zealand, it would be a tough comeback, and I'd be amazed if we saw Johnny again before the start of next season. Meantime, his mates are trying to respond initially with May. Oh, and if he could have only have got the ball to Vivian, Vivian would have been on for a second try.
Not offside, ball back, they went that way.
As it was, Newcastle will still have the scrum, Brian.
Well, Hanley was desperately trying to get across there, and he couldn't. We stepped inside him. Absolutely crucial. Just a nick there. Cueto's hand, otherwise been under the post. But again, Newcastle foraging and then creating the opportunity, but not putting it away.
50 minutes gone. 23-17. It's the match we hoped. It's so open. Charlton, the substitute, to Walder. May out to Stevenson. He's a huge threat as well, isn't he, Stevenson? Cueto came away with the ball, but Newcastle are pressing all of a sudden. It's a terrific contest.
Well, they are trying to stretch the ball there. Very similar move to the try dummy runner coming in straight, trying to hold the midfield defence and create space outside, but Sale coped with that well there. If you're left man on man there, it's a very big responsibility, but Sale doing well.
And he scored 3 tries on his way to the final, Stevenson. His season disrupted by a dislocated shoulder. You might remember he made his first start in the semi-final against Pertemps Bees. Andy Tittrell, the hooker, just has a breather.
Don't worry about it.
The attendance at today's Powergen performance, 48,519.
No ball. Right, hold. Engage.
It's a Newcastle scrum. Paul Charlton will feed it.
Leave it.
Just to get the ball away to Walder. Meyerhoffler, neat swap. Shaw! Oh! And the celebration to go with it. And who can say where this match is going? One side scores a try, the other responds immediately, and this time it's Joe Shaw's turn.
Yes, seesaws again. Grab the viewers. Good angle here. Dead straight look. Sale defence is drifting, and that's quite extravagant. Good doing it, drop it.
Ashley, Spellers here.
And the conversion's added, and the conversion's important because it takes Newcastle ahead again. And here's how it came.
Well, he comes dead straight there, and Sale are drifting, and they don't even, well, they get a fingertip on him. He came from quite a long way out, though. Sale really should have caught better with that.
Just the point in it. And it's taken out of his 22 by John Dunbar. 5 tries in the game so far. I don't want to sound like Mystic Meg, Brian, but Newcastle have made a change in the front row again, and well, how strange. Micky Ward's come off to be replaced by Ian Peel.
Yes, well, I did agree with you. I did agree with you. And Rob Andrews' prediction that this may well go to extra time, looking better and better, one way than the other.
Walsh to Hodgson. Robinson. He has been in one final already this season. You might remember it back in November. He scored a try that day as well. And they could do with one now. Hodgson mining the open spaces, but Shaw somehow got the ball into touch.
I'd like, if they see that again, I don't know if he didn't bat that into touch on purpose there, or whether it was a genuine attempt to catch the ball, because if it was a former, it's a penalty. Now he tries to get this now. No, he knocked that in, so that's a penalty.
He wasn't making much of an effort to catch it, was he?
Hold.
Well, I think he had a fist as well. I think it's very difficult to catch a ball with a right fist.
Opportunity for Sale to strike back. And they just might. This is Baxendale. They've got men over, and one of them is Robinson. Oh, and it needed to be gritty, determined defence, but it's still there. Robinson making sure it's presented back on the Sale side. Sanderson.
Very competitive, not on this.
Well, they need a quick ball from there because they got a 4-on-2. Thought from here that was no way it wouldn't go. That's good work, though. They managed to haul him back round, and he's strong. But that ball there needs to be whipped away. Nick Walsh, he hesitated there a couple of seconds, and that gave Newcastle, crucially, a little bit more time. When it came out to the middle, they managed to stop the ball.
Oh, I know he is, but no,
At various stages, all 3 of the Newcastle front row have been involved in substitutions, because Matt Thompson has come on to be taking the place of Nick Makin. Matt Thompson, the chairman's son. Dave Thompson watching on. There's Ian Peel in the centre of that. What do you make of this front row business? They're not breaking any rules. It is legal, given the player coming off is injured, but I think there is a sleight of hand going on here.
Well, you know, in the professional game, you have to put up with it, but I'm pretty sure when running the field, you don't want to have to come off. You don't want to come off.
That's fine. Nice and close, thank you.
And it doesn't do anything for continuity. You know, if a hooker comes on, etc., throwers have got to get used to him.
No. Okay, thank you.
No. I don't think it's tactical, but again, it's been slowed down. Sale, well, Sale have got 4 men here to 2 on the blind side.
Engage.
However, one of those on the open side is Jason Robinson.
That's why.
Now, is this a ploy? Are they trying to set the trap?
Hey! Get it in quicker.
Well, it's a good opportunity, isn't it? Look how much space there is out. Good can work out. Space there is out there for Robinson.
Get it in.
Robinson and Cueto are the men to the right, and they were being used as the bait.
He's
Still
in.
there, and they've scored a try, and Chris Mayer has got the try. And if Newcastle did swallow the bait, then Sale made the most of it. And again, the lead has changed hands, and Chris Mayer scores the try to put Sale back ahead.
And again, Sale. Little opportunity, but don't they make the most of it? Danced inside 3 players there. And that had an effect, because that men outside, everyone's expecting them to go with the overlap, and he goes inside the whole back row. One of that back row, not necessarily Vivian, but someone has got to come short there, come close and into. They can't all drift across, which they did.
Yeah, Newcastle will be a little disappointed with that close in defence. And Hodgson continues his kicking masterclass. 6 from 6 for Jim Mallander's team, and they lead by 30 points to 24, and Mayers tries the reason.
Inside the whole back row. Don't know whether that was pre-planned or whether he just did it off the cuff. I think probably the latter. Or whatever it was very prescient.
Captain, please.
Sale substitution. Hugh Perrott, a 21-year-old Aussie who's only been at the club for a couple of months, is on. And Pete Anglesey, the old warhorse, Big Red, is off. Just looking for fresh legs, maybe. And the big boot of Steve Hanley fires it back into Newcastle territory.
Holding,
and in a match where the lead has changed hands no less than 5 times within the first hour, it's Sale at the moment who have their noses ahead. Walsh's kick, charged down by Walsh. We're hearing that Alex Sanderson, with Anglesey off, has taken over the captaincy. Thompson, this is Hall Charlton, over the 22, and there's some intent in this run from Hall Charlton. 5 metres short. And that's a terrific run from the replacement scrum half. Maybe stung to a certain extent that it was his missed tackle that let the try in, but well, there was some real menace behind this charge.
Well, bollocking run, isn't it, from a scrum half? Takes 2 to bring him down. He went through 3 tackles, and well, Steve Hanley is prone at the moment. I think it's Steve Hanley.
Well, we've had half a dozen tries so far, 3 per team, and we aren't short on entertainment. And this is how Hanley injured his shoulder.
Well, that's a scrum half against him.
We weren't like looking at that again, Steve Hanley, but at least he's back on his feet.
Relax. You in the right. 2 in the scrum half. Let's go.
Important line out for Sale. And it was neatly cleared away as well by Nick Walsh. A word about another Newcastle substitution. That's at fullback.
I didn't hear anything of that.
Shaw has gone, and Daryl Lilly, an experienced Kiwi who only joined the club a couple of months ago, is on.
Can you all stop talking a moment? Move! There!
This is Matt Thompson. It's line out to Newcastle, and they did it well. Walder. John Dunbar offering himself as the dummy runner, but not taken by Sale.
Hands away,
and eventually
leave it.
They bring Noon to the ground just outside the 22. Mayer Hoffler, Peel.
Hands away, get away! Wait.
Well, Charlton was immediately
Hands off, hands off!
scragged by Andy Tittrell.
I called a rut, you didn't listen. I called hands off, you did not listen, you were fine.
Well, because it was a ruck, you can't use your hands, and that's the reason for the penalty, Brian.
Well, he's scragged here, but Spreaders is right. He was saying hands off, it's a ruck. There are men over the tackled player there. You can see a Sale hand. What makes it worse is that you can't hear this, but Tony Spurrier at that point was shouting hands off, hands off. And well, if you don't listen, you're a fool.
Well, the hand belonged to Alex Sanderson, but his mistake hasn't been compounded because, well, amazingly, Dave Walder has hit the ball long. It was his penalty kick. All he needed to do was find touch, but
too slow, your last throw. Too slow, okay?
it went the wrong side of the corner flag, and as a result, Sale will have possession.
Well, that's a big error because Newcastle just had stretched. So they decided to play with more width, and they've been getting the ball wide, and they've been stretching. Sale have just been hanging on. Gives them a chance to kick the ball right back into Newcastle territory.
Sale, meantime, preparing to shuffle their front row as well. This is Jamie Noon.
Away, back foot, leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it.
Paul Charlton's there. Waits patiently. Finds Walder, who opts not to kick. They're running it. May does put boot to ball. Robinson's going to have to work from deep.
Holding.
And on that occasion, it's safety first. It wasn't the best of kicks from Robinson. Straight to Charlton. This is Lilly. Now Mayer Hoffler. Plenty of experience in New Zealand, as has Lilly. That's the blonde-haired Stevenson on the far side.
Advantage in front of the offside line.
Neat play between Archer and Walder. But we're going to come all the way back.
Standing in front of the offside line, number 2.
And the penalty's gone against Sale's Andy Tittrell.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Well, that's second in a row for Andy Tittrell. And both of them not under pressure. Lack of concentration. Wasn't made to pay for the first one. What about the second one? And 2 substitutes here.
2 and 3 white replacement.
16 is Matt Cairns, who is a hooker. 17 is Stuart Turner, who's a resilient 31-year-old prop. And they're replacing, respectively, Andy Tittrell.
Okay, time on.
And Barry Stewart is coming off as well.
Over. Move. Move. Move.
So there should be no excuse for tiredness in the front rows. They've all had a rest. They're all refreshed. And we're into the final quarter of this match. And there is still no more than a score between these two teams. The Falcons searching for the score that will bring them back into it.
Hands out, Ruck. Hands out. Get away. Leave it. No, he's shut up. Hands out.
There's little room for debate.
Leave it. Leave it.
May to Mayer Hoffler. And, Ian Peel offering himself, and Mayer Hoffler decided to hang on to the ball. Sale trying to get that tight defence organised to nail the man.
Wait.
They're doing it at the moment. Walder to May. This is Gareth Archer up to the 10-metre line, but they're going backwards at the moment, Newcastle, and now they've lost possession because they were hanging on to the ball. Archer, the man penalised, and Sale have the penalty.
Well, I thought he was going to get blown earlier there because Gareth Archer found himself isolated and he was surrounded by Sale players. Got to let the ball go. Again, Newcastle, crucial mistake.
Well, Brian, red past Sale just beginning to look as though they look the more confident of the two here.
Yeah, there's been a couple of mistakes from Newcastle. One from the kick that went dead on the dead ball line, and you know, a couple of turnovers there as well. So we're playing pretty sensible stuff. I think we just need to keep being basic and get the possession down in their half.
Thanks, Brian.
1/4 of an hour to go. Newcastle making 2 changes. Gareth Archer's coming off, and there's Warren Britts. Archer's been replaced by Craig Hamilton. Britts has been replaced by Phil Dowson, who's an equally mobile back rower. And this is a charge from Sheridan, who's quick. Well, one more try for Sale would take them a score clear. It might be significant. They're looking for it. Hodgson to Sanderson. Ooh, big tackle on Sanderson, but still they go. Cueto threatening. It's a loose ball. Picked up by Walsh. Matt Cairns. And the penalty goes to Newcastle for obstruction against Sale.
Well, he says obstruction there, but I'm not sure he was onside to get that ball anyway, because the players are coming back. As far as I read the rules, they can't be put onside like that. Normally, if she doesn't come from a tackle, that comes from a ruck. He's coming back. Could call him a lazy runner. Was obstructed, but thought he was offside anyway.
Steady, your ball. No. Well played, it was very loose, your ball, scrum. That was a mess. Get your supporters to support you, boys. Total mess. That's off. Right, and hold.
Spreadbury's talking to the men who are thrown in the air there and saying that their supporters, the men who hoist them up, just need to be a little more secure. Interesting statistic. Twice as many passes from Newcastle, but they still trail on the scoreboard.
Well, this always perplexes me, you know. There was a penalty earlier on for Newcastle pulling the scrum, which they undoubtedly did, but Sale undoubtedly pulled that one. But they've been the beneficiaries because it's gone right round, and if it goes beyond the 180, the ball gets transferred in the put-in, and Sale have got another ball.
And they are pressing. They're looking for the try. The ball was knocked on by Cueto, and now it's Newcastle through Noon. And Hodgson just tests that knee.
Oh, there's a tread on there. And to be fair to Tom May, he shook his own player away and said, don't do that. He's on the floor.
No, it was Phil Dowson
We're going back
and May acting as the peacemaker.
But if I'm going to speak to somebody.
And Charlie Hodgson,
no, it's knock on,
who's doing the stretching and trying to recover himself.
Yeah. I want to speak to him and Hanley, all right? He was stupid, you saw it as well, all right? So, yeah, your ball. First knock on. Yeah, it's fine, that's fine.
I think Phil Dowson's about to have a word with Tony Spreadbury here.
Well, this is good work by Hodgson's. Brave, he gets the ball into touch. And really, well, he should let go of that ball, actually.
Time
but
off.
that's the one there. This is it, right. Oh, cheap shot round his calf.
Twice.
And he's pushed away by his own player.
No, actually, no.
Oh, that's not very big, is it, really, frankly?
This is not a debating chamber, right?
Yeah, fine.
You know what you went for the intent, and you know what you went to for the intent. You can't afford to do it, it's too close to the game.
Oh, that should be a penalty,
right,
to be honest.
Time on, please, Jeff. Crouch and hold, engage. Waiting, ball's out.
Wilder to May. This is Lilly. And Stevenson, always a threat on that left side, but Sale's defence was alert.
Was tripped up then. It's a don't counter-up. That is offside.
Mayor Hoffler over halfway with some intent to Dowson.
Offside.
And that's a penalty against Sale.
You can't afford a counter-up.
Well, this is well within Walder's range. There are 3 points on offer, but it is probably against the wind, and well, it's an interesting decision, and I wonder what he would have done if he'd still been playing.
I'll tell you now, he would have kicked it. As he did everything else, frankly, but anyway. I think the wind probably has eased, actually. But Sale, the more important point for Sale is the last 3 penalties, I think they've given away for offsides, and none have been forced. You know, they've not been in extremis and desperately trying to get back on their own line. They've all been lined up. It's simply a case of people not concentrating and taking a step too early. And you can't afford that in close games.
Now, Dave Walder, when he's setting these kicks up, imagines a bell in between those posts, and he'll try and ring it. Ding dong. And they've got themselves back within 3 points. It's 30-27. And, well, extra time still looms, doesn't it? Mystic Rob said we'd have extra time, and, well, Jim might be wondering as well.
Well, the tension's going to be cranked up, and it's here where these mistakes, small ones they've been, will be absolutely crucial and decisive. It's here where experienced players have got to get hold of the game, keep the cool and make sure that opportunities are taken and those mistakes aren't made. Level-headedness.
We're into the final 10 minutes, and they're breaking away with Hall Charlton. Dowson's offering himself. Charlton going on his own. This is out to Stevenson. From one end to the other. What a terrific game. Neither side able to close it out. Walder to Noon. It's fierce tackling. Their centre field. Lilly won the Ranfurly Shield back in New Zealand. Wants to be a cup winner in England. Likewise, Mark Meyerhoffler. But the initial moment of danger has gone because Sale are back, but they've still got some serious defending to do. And it's a penalty against Sale. And it's a penalty for Newcastle to square things up.
Well, they're clawing away, aren't they? But they... Well, it's 3 points here, but Newcastle will be disappointed, or should be disappointed. They didn't get more than that from the quality of the ball, the break that was made. And you have to say that Sale have scrambled very well, because several times in this game they've looked as though they're going to give tries away, and they've just got back, slowed the ball down, and they'll be happy in one sense that this is only going to be 3 points, because it could have been a lot worse.
It's too loud, I can't hear it at the moment. Sorry, mate.
8 minutes to go. It's Sale 30, Newcastle 30, and it is still anyone's cup.
Breakaway here, but lots of men, lots of support around him, and crucially, a lot of people thought Stevenson would go all the way, but he can't get beyond this scrambling Sale defence. Look at them, they're on the ball, managing just to slow it down. Well, who's your money on now?
Well, Charlton has made an impact, hasn't he, since he's come on as a replacement at scrum half. It's what Rob Andrew wanted him to do. The left boot of Meyerhoffler finds the last man he would have wanted to find. Deep breath. There's an important tackle from Stevenson.
There's a penalty there.
Penalty is going to go to Sale. They'll get the crack at goal if nothing comes of this.
Move away, stop slowing it down.
Well, Rob Andrew's been talking all week about wanting the referee to be vigilant at that tackle situation, not to slow the ball down. and on that occasion Newcastle have been penalised.
Jason Robinson again. Whatever he does, he manages just to get that extra couple of yards to put his support players in a better running line so they don't have to run right backwards and round. Well, Hodgson has kicked everything today, successfully at goal. You wouldn't not put money on him on this one either.
Alex, all the counter-rucking over there, let them hit the ball, went in the hole. All right.
44 metres, whatever breeze there is in his favour. He puts this over. Lead again for Sale. Rather a lot of booing, which is unusual at Twickenham. I don't think it'll bother him, frankly.
You knew he would. He hasn't missed today. Much too early to celebrate, but Rowan, Shepherd and Jim Mallender are beginning to wonder. But it's still anyone's game, isn't it? 33-30. Oh, well, if you fancy a cup of tea, just wait for the next 5 minutes, because this is going to be worth watching.
Well, although Jim Mallender looks relatively composed there, internally it must be a maelstrom going on inside his guts, I would think.
An important take from Nick Walsh. First rule to gather the kick-off, and it's been charged down by Vivian. And it needed to be taken over the line by Steve Hanley, and now Newcastle will have the 5-metre scrum.
Well, this is where the nerves are coming in, aren't they? Composure, take the extra time. Well, I see, just take extra time, they're too long. Hanley's grasped it, he did well, did Hanley there. He could easily have just knocked that backwards, in which case it would have been in. But Newcastle, fantastic opportunity to retake the lead yet again.
Perhaps the pivotal moment. Vivian gathers and goes.
Stay. Don't go in!
Charlton marshalling the troops. Has a little pop himself.
Wait, don't go in, don't go in!
The white wall remains firm. Now they're driving for the line. They're up to the line, they're over the line, and they've scored! In the final 5 minutes of the final. The lead changes hands again, and it's the substitute Phil Dowson. Is that the cup-winning try?
And the important point about this, not least because it's gone over, but the point is, it's not in the corner. That means this kick should go over, which means that Sale have got to get more than a drop goal or a penalty. The leader who puts this will be 4 points. Sale will need to have 2 scores from the boot, or they've got to get a try. Mind you wouldn't bet against this happening, would you?
The lead is 4 points, and this is the view from our post cam, and it was the charge down that was key. Vivian's charge down, and from that moment they took the scrum, and Phil Dowson powering the legs for all he was worth. There's a cut perhaps at the end of that drive.
Wait! Press day.
4 points in it. Sale have got to score a try or get those 2 penalties, and we've got just over 3 minutes to go.
Relax, get over.
Well, Charlie Hodgson taking too long there. If there's any doubt there, I always reckon it's better for the scrum half just to box kick it. Then there's only one kick to, there's not a variable there. You don't have to get the pass right, you don't have to get the catch right. The ball.
Hodgson to Baxendall, the survivor of 7 years ago, and Hanley was almost through. Vivian with the clearance, and eventually cleared rather untidily. Cueto's gone down with what looks like cramp, and this is the highest scoring final in the history of the competition. 66 points shared by Saracens and Wasps 6 years ago has been eclipsed by this 70-point thriller, and we've still got time to go in the sunshine, and Sale still have time. If the lead changes hands for a 7th time, then surely the cup will go to Cheshire. Who wants it more? Hodgson to Baxendale, rolling back the years for Hanley. If he can gather, it'll be interesting. Oh, and that was a key intervention from Jamie Noon getting back.
Don't go in, Sal, don't go in.
Hanley couldn't gather, but it still needed to be tidied up. Walder's kick has the bounce, and that might be the kick that does for Newcastle.
What a fantastic kick, right under pressure. He's made, well, 55 metres. That's what I'm talking about, players in the vital moments, making the mark, keeping the cool, executing things properly. Steve Hanley at 6'4", even he couldn't get a fingertip one. It was so close. What a finish.
Rescued by Matt Cairns. It's Walsh to Jones, runs into Dunbar, who's just been an enormous Geordie brick wall all match. Still though, with that one on the pitch, there remains hope for Sale, but we're in the final 60 seconds of the match. Once we get to 80 minutes, the next time the ball goes dead, the referee will blow the whistle, and unless Sale score, Newcastle will win the cup. That's halfway. Qualification for Europe hanging in the balance as well. The winners will be in the Heineken Cup next season. It does not get bigger. And Newcastle are 20 seconds shy of being in Europe next season.
Good drive.
And they've got the turnover, have they? Ball was knocked forward. It's a scrum to Newcastle.
Well, if they do win this game, and it looks like they will, it's been based on a superior effort up front. Led well by Hugh Vivian, Rob Andrew. Again, he looking calm and composed. I assure you, is anything but a good game, Vivian, both in attack and defence. Scoring a try, passing out of tackles. Well, there's probably one more play left, isn't there? If I were Newcastle, I'd shove this as far down into Sale territory, into one of the corners, play from there.
It's all about discipline now. There was a point in 1997 when Sale were on the way to the final. The only time they came close to losing was when they were trailing against Richmond and a hot-headed hooker got sent off.
Thank you for reminding me about that.
Penalty.
Tale of two kicks, really. The Noon one went 55 metres. Charlie Hodgson got his charge down. Another one. Oh, that's a super kick, isn't it? That's just what's needed. That's it.
It's a kick that wins the cup for the Geordies. The Falcons will be in Europe next season. They are the cup winners. It's been a magnificent game of rugby, and Newcastle in the end edge it. Brits and Vivian and Shaw and Dowson with the tries, and Walder with 17 points, hugs his boss Rob Andrew. And Rob Andrew's Newcastle, Rob Andrew, the man who's led the Newcastle revolution for the best part of a decade, is a cup winner for the second time.
Well, look at that. That's what it means to everyone. Heineken Cup, huge revenue for that. And on balance, they do deserve this. My apologies for getting the name wrong. David Walder, his kick just before. Probing into touch, putting it safe, but also the one where he hoofed it when he's under desperate pressure. Juxtaposition, Charlie Hodgson charged down.
It's Newcastle's day, though.
Well, I'm with a very relieved, very happy Newcastle captain, Hugh Vivian. Congratulations. Just tell me how you feel at this minute.
Unbelievable. It was such a good performance from the boys. You know, we kept on going down, but we kept coming back at them, and in the end, we won, which is fantastic.
Have you ever seen a more important charge down that led to that final try?
No, I didn't have a clue where the ball went. I charged it down, was searching for the ball, but you know, all the lads played fantastically. Our forwards were outstanding today. We scrummaged brilliant. Our line-outs went well, and just so happy to win this.
For you personally, though, given that you're leaving the club, what does this mean to you?
It's fantastic. I've had 8 years at the club. I've got so many good friends, and we've been brought up together for the last 5-6 years, and it's just the best feeling. It's fantastic, Jill.
Well, I spoke to your brothers and your mum and dad before the match. They were very proud. They'll be even prouder now. You are also the Powergen man of the match. Congratulations.
Cheers. Thanks very much, Jill.
All right, Rob, you've just been assaulted by Hugh Vivian there, but tell me, just how proud are you of the guys then?
Well, we did it once 3 years ago in an almost identical situation, and what a game. Just fantastic. I mean, elation here. I do feel for the Sale boys. I mean, just a brilliant cup final, and we've done it again. It's just astonishing.
Is it just as special?
I don't know whether the last one was it was the last play of the game, but this was just as good a game, if not better in many respects. And I don't know how many times the leaders changed hands. We said it. I thought we'd go to extra time, and we said it all week. We just got to keep playing. They will score. Believe in ourselves, and we were just magnificent. But so was Sale.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy it. Thanks, Rob.
Well, what a game. We learnt back last November in Sydney how exciting this great game can be, but Jonathan Davis, Jerry Guscott, that was an absolute thriller.
It was, and I think Rob was correct there to say that he feels for Sale. It's a game that, it's going to be disappointing at the best of times for any side to lose, but at that level, and for this man, Johnny Wilkinson, it's Europe next year, which I think, he's going to absolutely love. I mean,
I don't think he could have stood extra time again, even from the bench.
Well, knowing Johnny would have got the drop goal that won the blooming game anyway, wouldn't he? Nothing's too big for that man. But it was an absolute exceptional game, given what's at stake, that European place. And the guys, I mean, what was there, 7 tries in the whole game, 5 in the second half, toing and throwing. It was just awesome, and nobody gave up, and none more so than Newcastle.
Yeah, Jonathan, the prize is an absolutely huge one, isn't it?
Huge prize, and I just felt that Sale were in control maybe with a couple of minutes to go, and then they turned it, and I thought the Newcastle forwards were immense today. The Vivian try and then the Dawson try at the end. I think that's the way they realised they had to win it. Once they got to that position, they didn't have that cutting edge out wide, and the forwards just took it on, and delighted to see that Vivian won man of the match because he had an exceptional game. But yep, it was. He couldn't pick a winner till really the last minute.
In a match that's so close as that, is there one element that can cost a side victory?
Well, I think the charge down. I mean, Charlie Hodgson, he didn't miss a kick at goal, yet when the pressure came on, he went to put it away and got charged down. Unfortunate for him.
I think he's a bit rusty. He hasn't played a lot. 3 games. Was it enough or not? And he was a bit rusty.
One small blemish for Charlie Hodgson. Wonder how poor old Jim Mallender, the coach of Sale, is taking all this. He should be proud of his boys, but let's hear from him.
Well, Jim, a very, very tight game. Just how do you feel about that performance from Sale?
Yeah, our performance wasn't brilliant. We didn't play at our best, but we always knew it was going to be one of those games, and it was a seesaw game. The scores going either way, and I suppose they just got that extra little bit of luck.
Is that what the difference was today? Do you think at the end of the day, just a bounce of a ball, a charge down, a bit of luck?
I think, to be honest, it was. I think 2 very similar sides, both intent on playing good attacking rugby, and we had a couple of opportunities which we didn't take. I think we're probably a little bit naive, and we didn't get out of our half as well as what we should have done, and that ultimately cost us a game.
Okay, thanks very much, Jim.
Thanks very much.
So let's look back at that key moment. We were talking about the Charlie Hodgson charge down kick, and it was followed by Phil Dawson's what eventually proved to be the match-winning try, Jerry.
Yeah, I mean they got there by the mistake, by the slow clearance of Hodgson, and then it just became a power play of what they've been doing for most of the game. That's how they scored 3 of their tries at least, and it's clever work. But I'd say I'll be disappointed with their defence, because 3 times they've been stood up too high. They're not low enough to drive the Newcastle side back, and their defensive bloke's not going to be too.
That was it. Around the ruck, they were very, very poor, Sale, and also, if you looked at the amount of players that Newcastle actually had in that ruck, they couldn't spread it wide because they had nobody outside there. So the only alternative they had was to keep driving and going for the try, and Sale didn't really react. So that's why the expression on Jim Malner's face said it all, didn't he? They didn't perform.
I thought Jim was a bit low on his players. I thought that Sale did play well in a lot of patches, and I think it's just a disappointment being in such a close-run game that it's really hit him hard.
Yeah. And Sale have assembled for the presentation, joined just now by the still celebrating Newcastle Falcons squad. Let's rejoin Nick Mullins.
Thank you, Steve. The officials going up first, and they will get their medals and they'll get their boos, but I think they did a very good job, Brian.
Yes, they did. Well refereed yet again by Tony Spreadbury. I like his rapport with the players. Bit of a debating society at times, but he got the vast majority of decisions absolutely right. It's all you can expect. Every referee makes mistakes, just like players. Well refereed.
Well, it's been a hugely trying season for Sale. Their trip to Twickenham played out against the backdrop of one of the most disruptive times in the club's history before the arrival of Philip St-Andre, their new director of rugby. Jim Mallander thought about leaving at one time. Steve Diamond, his assistant, has. The players, we were told, were furious. It was not a happy camp, but somehow they galvanised themselves enough to make the trip back to Twickenham for the second time in their history. But sadly for them, for the second time, they are losers' medals being handed out by the president of the RFU, Robert Horner. Alongside him, Nick Haller, the managing director of Powergen Retail. But goodness me, they played their part in a final we'll all remember.
Well, I understand what Jim Mallander means in this sense. Sale didn't play with any fluidity, and therefore he considers they didn't play particularly well. But what they did do well, which is what Jerry was alluding to, was the fact that they scrambled desperately well in defence, and whenever an opportunity came, they made absolutely the most of it. So in that sense, they were exceptional. Unfortunately for them, when the pressure right at the end came on, they just couldn't hang on.
Well, both teams were talking in the build-up to this match this week about how they aren't quite established teams just yet. They aren't a Leicester or a Gloucester or a Wasps or a Northampton, but they are very much on the way. And they are deserving winners of the Powergen Cup, Newcastle. And the first man up is Micky Ward, who typifies what this club's all about, the pride of Wallsend. Ward, so many local players in this team, amongst them Gareth Archer, the giant of South Shields, the chairman's son. Matt Thompson has a hug from his dad, Dave. Dave having taken over the bankrolling of the club when Sir John Hall went his own way. Sir John isn't here today, but he'll be watching on as proud as any other Geordie, and they are spreading the gospel in the northeast.
Well, that's a very good point, because what you've got to understand is that these two teams are in areas which are not favourable to rugby union. Obviously, soccer in the northeast, and rugby league and soccer around Sale, and what they are achieving against those odds is to be applauded.
Well, they won it as the old Gosforth in 1976 and 1977, Roger Utley and co. They won it again as Newcastle in 2001, and they have won it again in 2004. The Powergen Cup is heading towards the northeast, and watched by his half a dozen brothers and his sister, doubtless, in Australia, Hugh Vivian, who's been the heart and soul of this club, gets the cup, and it belongs to the Geordies.
Well, winners, probably deservedly in the final analysis of a thrilling cup final. Do feel for Sale, everyone does so. In such a close game, won dramatically, but probably deservedly, just at the death. Late races comes on now.
Well, it could still yet be a football and rugby cup double for the city of Newcastle. One or two of those players were at St James's Park on Wednesday night to watch Shearer and co. make their way into the UEFA Cup semi-final, and now they have the Powergen Cup as well, the Rugby Cup. And on the day the Northern Alliance came to town, it was an absolute classic. Sale were magnificent, so were Newcastle. It's just that they happened to be ahead when the clock ticked past 80 minutes. Sale 33, Newcastle, the cup holders, 37.
For once, it's not Swing Low, Sweet Chariot that rings out around Twickenham, but Blaydon Races, showing the breadth of rugby union, professional rugby union in this country. Well done, Newcastle, and well played, Sale, as well. Both sides must now look to the future, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, but I believe Dave Walder is down there and ready to talk to us.
Well, Dave, I saw the look in your face as you leapt in the air at the final whistle. Was that elation or just sheer relief?
Relief. I think, we've worked very hard. Our season's been pretty disappointing up until now, and this was basically the last game in our season. We won today, we're in Europe, and the season's virtually over, so it was a massive result.
And a mixed season for yourself. We spoke earlier in the week about the fact that your future at Newcastle possibly in jeopardy. You felt you hadn't hit the form that you needed. So to you personally, what does it mean?
It's great. I didn't play particularly well today, but the team really dug deep when we needed to. And today was pretty all about the team. And great performance. Hall Charlton coming on off the bench. Just fantastic day for the squad.
That last 10 minutes, though, what goes through your mind?
Just try and win. Just try and win. What? The whole day turns on whether you win or lose. Tonight we're going to have a great night. They'll be very disappointed, so it's just unbelievable.
Well, go and enjoy it. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Newcastle have celebrated here before, and they're doing it in style once again. Sale know what it's like to come to Twickenham and get beaten, but in 1997 they were beaten in a very, very forgettable final. This one will live in the memory for many reasons, and many of them have been provided by the Sale Sharks during the course of this afternoon's match. They were terrific, but where do these two sides go now? Sale have been talking before this match that in many ways, whatever happened here this afternoon, it's the end of an era for them.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, losing some backroom stuff, losing some players who start in their